Yes, sir.
Good morning. Welcome to Community Voice. I'm your host, Keith Parris. I want to thank everybody for joining us this morning. Good morning, Debo. Good morning, Jermaine.
Good morning, sir.
You got a Black History?
Yeah, well, just to recap the Black History moment, let everybody know that Anna Mae was the first church mother to fry chicken, sell chicken dinners for the church.
Little church.
And because of her, so many little churches all across America.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That wasn't the same one that was killing people with her.
No, that was Mother Cook.
See that? See now. You didn't have to bring her back.
You said it first, so I'm just riding away.
Cook out this morning. But I didn't have to bring it up. The whole church got sick. They're calling me.
Yeah, they do.
But that's the thing about potlucks. I always fear.
Yeah.
Make sure that food is cooked, right? That there are standards out there in terms of serving food. So, you go into a lot of these situations, man, and people, and they always talk about foodborne viruses that people get.
Yeah.
So, let me do a cleanup. Yesterday, Michelle and I were talking about Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine Crockett, she succeeded Eddie Bernice Johnson in Texas 30th Congressional District. That includes parts of Dallas and parts of Tarrant County. So I was trying to figure out. I said Houston. She's not from the Houston area. She's actually from the Dallas area there. So today I'm putting together a list of books that either we'll discuss or I would suggest that people read. I started off on Monday. Let's do it off the top of my head. The Miseducation of the Negro by Dr. Carter G. Woodson. Yesterday, we had two books, Before the Mayflower by Lerone Bennett Jr. and Black AF History by Michael Harriot. So today, we'll be talking about reparations, kind of the origins of reparations. And this information is taken from the book, The 1619 Project. This is a compilation of different writers. It's done by Nicole Hannah-Jones. I remember when 1619, we subscribed to New York Times, and so we got it. It was part of a magazine.
Oh.
And time on Sunday, they do the Sunday magazine. Which is, I've read some real interesting articles in there. As a matter of fact, one of the more interesting articles I read in was probably back, this was really back in the day. They did a whole article on the down low. And really, it was a fascinating article. And it just kind of took off in terms of talking about the down low, just so and people know what it meant. A couple of things back in the day, because there were a couple of musicians who it talked about, basically keeping it on the low, the down low. But this was actually talking about, I wouldn't call it a cultural phenomena, but it was really talking about culture and particularly gay Black men. And it was after that, then another guy came out and wrote a book. I think his name was King, called The Down Low. And it was, but a lot of that really originated in New York Times Magazine. I'm trying to remember who the author, I'll pull that up, who the author of that article was. And it sparked a lot of discussion. And so, good. So now this book, The 1619 Project, has garnered a lot of controversy. The premise that Nicole Hannah-Jones is properly in the book is that it was enslavement that America was built on. And there were a lot of conservatives and others who pushed back. They were even able to find a Black historian who was saying some of her facts. But again, there were multiple contributors to this. And so today I'd like to talk about the where we've had this discussion. I know Mother Herrera and others have been on the forefront of this struggle when it comes to this idea of reparations. So I'm going in her book under the chapter called Justice. I just want to read a little something from this to kind of give us a sense of some of the terms that we even use today, and how she goes into um, where this whole idea of how we came here to work the land, and upon emancipation, we did not receive any recompense for our labor. And it's we'll read. I'll skip through and get to some things. Oh, okay. Said free people during and after slavery tried to compel the government to provide restitution for slavery, to provide at at the very least a pension for those who, along with generations of their ancestors, had spent their entire lives toiling for no pay. They fled, they filed lawsuits, they organized to lobby politicians, and every effort failed. The closest the country ever came to delivering on reparations was in the immediate aftermath of slavery's demise, during a moment that offered this nation the chance for redemption. Out of the ashes of sectarian strife, recognized the humanity and natural rights of those who had helped forge this nation, one that attempted to atone and provide redress for unspeakable atrocities committed against Black people in the name of profit. We could have finally, 100 years after the American Revolution, embraced its founding ideals. And also briefly, during the period known as Reconstruction, we moved towards that goal. The historian Eric Forner refers to these 12 years after the Civil War as the nation's second founding, because it was here that America began to redeem the grave sin of slavery. Congress passed amendments abolishing human bondage, enshrining equal protection for those before the law in the Constitution, and guaranteeing Black men the right to vote. The nation witnessed its first period of biracial governance as the formerly enslaved were elected to public offices at all levels of government. As a matter of fact, one of my classmates, I think his great grandfather, maybe one more great, Hiram Revels. I went to school with Tracy. Black men, the right vote. This nation witnesses first period. That's for the Black people. They understood that land in this country always meant wealth, and more importantly, independence. Black people employed federal officials to grant the land confiscated from slavers who had taken up arms against their own country to those who had worked for it for generations. They were asking, as the historian Robin D.G. Kelly puts it, to inherit the earth they had turned into wealth for idle white people. And for a fleeting moment, a few white men listened to the pleas of Black people who fought for the Union and helped deliver its victory. In January 1865, as the Civil War raged towards its final battle, 20 Black leaders, most of whom were ministers who had been born into slavery, gathered in Savannah, Georgia, for a meeting with Secretary of War Edward Stanton and Union General William Tecumseh Sherman. During his famed march to the sea through Georgia a couple of months earlier, Sherman had largely treated as a nuisance the estimated 10,000 poor and desperate people who abandoned their enslavers and begun to follow behind his troops. Many who ran to the Union lines seeking freedom and protection had instead died of starvation and sickness. But a turning point came after a Union brigadier general serving under Sherman ordered his troops to remove a pontoon bridge from the Ebenezer Creek before the Black refugees trailing his unit could cross. Confederate scouts began shooting at the refugees, and many ran into the icy river and drowned. Others were killed in the stampede, and some were likely shot to death. The Confederates re-enslaved those who did not manage to make it across the creek. The tragedy invoked widespread outrage and condemnation in the North and alarmed the administration in Washington. In response, Stanton traveled to Savannah and called a meeting between Sherman and the Black leaders to pose what at the time was a radical question for white Americans to ask Black ones. What do you want for your own people? The Black delegation's leader, Reverend Garrison Frazier, a 67-year-old man who had spent 59 years in bondage before purchasing his wife and his own freedom 8 years earlier, asked for the same thing most white Americans wanted. Slavery is receiving by irresistible power the work of another man, and not by his consent. By his consent. The freedom, as I understand it, promised by the Emancipation Proclamation is taking us from under the yoke of bondage and placing us where we could reap the fruit of our own labor, take care of ourselves, and assist the government in maintaining our freedom. The key to that, Frazier said, was land. The way we can best take care of ourselves is to have land and turn it and till it by our own labor. That is, by the labor of women and children and old men. We can soon maintain ourselves and have something to spare. We want to be placed on land until we're able to buy it and make it our own. Remarkably, with millions of Black Americans just weeks past released from generational slavery, did not seek a government handout, even though getting land that they worked in order to produce wealth for others could hardly be considered one. They simply asked for land to work and until they could earn enough money to purchase it. 4 days later, Sherman issued Special Field Order 15, providing for the distribution of hundreds of thousands of acres of former Confederate land and 40-acre tracts to newly freed people along coastal South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. This became known as 40 Acres and a Mule. Sherman was neither a humanitarian reformer nor a man with any particular concern for Blacks. Eric Forner writes in his groundbreaking book, Reconstruction, America's Unfinished Revolution, instead of seeing Field Order 15 as a blueprint for the transformation of Southern society, he viewed it mainly as a way for relieving the immediate pressure caused by the large number of impoverished Blacks following his army. And yet, Forner writes, the prospect beckoned of a transformation of Southern society more radical even than the end of slavery. One of the ministers at the meeting, Ulysses L. Houston, organized 1,000 Black residents and claimed land in Skidaway Island, Georgia, where they founded a self-governing Black community. Some 40,000 free people staked their claim, that's a lot of folks, to 400,000 acres of Sherman's land in a region, Forner writes, that has spawned one of the wealthiest segments of the planters' class. But Abraham Lincoln was assassinated, and Andrew Johnson, a Southern sympathizer, then reversed that order. That whole 40 acres and a mule was reversed by Andrew Johnson. So the struggle for reparations continued. A woman named Callie House, herself born into slavery, widowed in adulthood, and working as a washerwoman in Tennessee, began organizing freed people in the early 1900s under the National Ex-Slave Mutual Relief, Bounty, and Pension Association. Through her grassroots association, House organized tens of thousands of formerly enslaved people to push Congress to pass a bill to provide slave pensions, just as the federal government paid pensions to Union soldiers. After years of organizing failed to pay off with Congress in 1915, House took an extraordinary step for a Black, formerly enslaved woman living in the Jim Crow South. She retained Cornelius Jones, one of the tiny number of Black lawyers practicing in Washington, D.C., and sued the federal government for reparations. In the suit, Jones argued that the U.S. Treasury owed Black Americans $68,073,388.99 for taxes it had collected between 1862 and 1868 on the cotton enslaved people had grown. The federal government had identified the cotton and could trace it, and the suit argues that this tax money should be paid in the form of pensions for those who, against their will, had grown, picked, and processed it. The audacity of a Black woman demanding payment for her stolen labor and the stolen labor of millions of others, even if it would have come directly from proceeds of cotton they picked, brought down the full wrath of one of the most powerful governments in the world. The Treasury Department, under President Woodrow Wilson, first issued a press release insisting that the United States owed nothing and that formerly enslaved people, if they had a claim at all, should seek reparations from their master. A federal court then rejected the claim, citing government immunity, which says that the government must consent to being sued, and the U.S. Supreme Court upheld that decision. Not content with crushing the lawsuit, the government went after both Jones and House, accusing them of mail fraud for soliciting funds for formerly enslaved people to help the effort with promises that reparations were coming. The same government that refused to give freed people a dime of financial assistance for their enslavement accused those of trying to get them aid of going throughout the country, collecting hard-earned money from poor Negroes. Newspapers' coverage perpetuated the basis stereotype of people who spend a significant part of their lives working for free or for the benefit of others. Then Black Americans would never give up the quest for reparations, for restitution and repayment for the centuries of stolen labor and robbed opportunities. The Black nationalist Marcus Garvey would call for reparations in the 1910s and for Black Americans to leave this country and resettle in a Black one. Like Callie House, Garvey found himself targeted by the federal government for mail fraud. He was imprisoned, then deported. Now, it's interesting because he just received a pardon from President Biden on the way out. In the 1950s, the activist Queen Mother, Audley Moore, launched a movement for reparations appealing to the United Nations in 1957 and 1959. In 1968, activists formed the Republic of New Africa, which claimed that since the United States had reneged on its promise of 40 acres, Black Americans should be given territories in southeastern United States to form their own Black nation. Malcolm X called for reparations in 1963. In 1987, Ajoa Ayatora and Amari Abadeli called for reparations, helped found the National Coalition for Reparations in America, known as NCOBRA. And in 2021, the last three survivors of the Tulsa Massacre, all centurions testified in Congress in support of a reparations bill for the survivors and their descendants. 100 years after the slaughter that destroyed the prosperous Black neighborhood of Greenwood and killed hundreds. Some 20 years after State Commission recommended reparations that were never given. None of these efforts succeeded. To this day, only Americans who have ever received government restitution for slavery were white enslavers in Washington, D.C., whom the federal government compensated after the Civil War for the loss of human property. You heard me mention that the 40,000 formerly enslaved individuals went to this island, and it's called The Colored History of Skidaway Island. I've taken this from The Patch. Skidaway Island, Georgia, is one of the most affluent communities in the United States. It's well known for its waterfront properties and numerous golf resorts. It's just outside of Savannah, Georgia, to the southeast, includes one of the largest gated communities in the country. You may recall that General Tecumseh Sherman march to the sea ended with the capture of the port of Savannah, Georgia, on December 21st, 1864. You may have even heard of General Sherman's Special Field Order Number 15, aka 40 acres and a cow, where Confederate plantation lands would be redistributed to the newly freed slaves, with each family to receive a plot not more than 40 acres of tillable ground, beginning with a strip of coastline stretching from Charleston, South Carolina, to St. Johns River in Florida, including Georgia's Sea Islands. In total, this was approximately 40,000 acres of land that was to be redistributed, 400,000 acres of land. General Sherman got the idea from meeting with 20 Black leaders. We talked about that in January 12, 1865. Sadly, Abraham Lincoln was assassinated on April 14th. Andrew Johnson became president. He was sympathetic to the South and rescinded the order within the year, and Skidaway Island was taken away from these freed men. Skidaway Island was just over 16 acres out of the 40,000 acres that was all taken back from these freed men. We hear about reparations, but it's rare that you get a specific observable example to see the long-term implications of denying land ownership to the Black community, how it compounds their poverty over decades, while like interest, it compounds the wealth of whites. As you might have guessed, Skidaway Island is currently 97.57% white. There are essentially no Blacks living in those waterfront homes or playing on those golf courses, and one which is called the Plantation Golf Course. All the affluence that would have accrued to Black people if they still to this day benefiting whites who live in gated communities and still do not associate with Blacks. Phone lines are open. We're talking about reparations this morning. Kind of gave you a little bit of historical context in terms of reparation. Should we still be about trying to receive reparations for the past sin of enslavement? 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
The passing of a loved one is emotional enough without adding the stress of funeral arrangements. By pre-planning, you receive the desires of your heart while taking away the burden from your family. It also saves you money. providing the dignity and respect your memory deserves. And there are times when life ends unexpectedly. Please know that the New Pitts Mortuary is here to lend a helping, caring hand anytime, day or night. We are the New Pitts Mortuary.
On WNOV 860 AM and 106.5 FM with your host, Keith Parris.
All right, welcome back to Community Voice, and the phone lines open 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250. You know, I know at one point during the Biden administration, there was some talk about reparations that came up in 2021 and what that looked like. I don't know. Well, I just think there's just a level of hostility towards anything that will make America have to reckon with its ugly history as it relates to indigenous people and as it relates to descendants of enslaved Africans. Um, the whole idea of in America, land is wealth, right? You own property, you have wealth. And one of the things that you're able to do, and one of the things about that type of wealth is it's transferable, that it can go from generation to generation. To think that, the idea, and this pushed back because there are people in this country, and I think it's a kind of a general attitude where when people do not necessarily see, and I'm going to say this, I know it's always controversial, people use the term, but people of color being equal to descendants of Europeans. And so this idea that, there should be some reparations for free labor. There's no getting around it. And then free exploited labor. It says a lot. And then the whole thing we talk about Reconstruction, that period of 12 years after the end of the Civil War, people did well, but there were still a lot of enslaved folks who really didn't do well. If you ever see this thing around sharecropping, and what sharecropping was, the concept with sharecropping was that we were this co-op, right? And that we come together as this co-op and we mutually benefit from the co-op, in this case, growing crops. But that wasn't how it worked, because the landowners, and many of those Southern plantation owners did receive their land back, right? And the U.S. government then compensated them for loss of property, i.e. formerly enslaved people. And so what was the penalty? What was the penalty for succession? Pretty much what we're looking at now. What was the penalty for January the 6th, right? Where then you have a president who comes in and pardons everybody, even though it's probably going to go down as one of the worst days in U.S. history as it relates to a challenge to democracy. We had not seen anything at that level probably since the Civil War. And people were kind of like, well, okay. Like a lot of people, they were just sightseeing. Well, we saw the tapes, and the tapes were saying something else. And so I think the struggle continues. You would think, I told people I hate the idea that I have to do the 60s. In my 60s, we're kind of back to that. And then the question becomes, who should lead? Now, people will point out that I know the German government had to pay reparations to survivors of the Holocaust. We do know that after the Japanese were interned here during World War II, because, and I don't know if this is a distinction, and you all can, be part of the conversation on this. The distinction with allegedly with the Japanese suing for relief was that they actually lost property, right? People took their homes, took their businesses, so they lost property. The other thing was that enslaved people were considered property. I was reading something about your inheritance in most cultures is determinant on who your father was, right? Who your father was. That was how your inheritance was determined. During enslavement, what they did was they turned those inheritance laws and rules around to say that your inheritance was based on the womb of the woman that birthed you. What? Yeah, I saw that for Kuzma. Okay. No. I mean, it came up because people have just been texting me, let me know. Oh, in the middle of this very serious Black History moment.
Oh, wow.
Has the trade been finalized?
Yes.
Okay, so you just don't know, we're doing breaking news here. Chris Middleton is going to the Washington Wizards for Kyle Kuzma.
And a pick swap.
Yeah, but you know what? It's kind of what we've been asking for, more athletic forward.
He's 6'10" too.
Yeah. Okay.
He's younger too, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, we need some youth on that team, man.
In exchange for
Wow.
Patrick Baldwin.
Patrick Baldwin.
Hey, he's a shooter.
Okay. Caller, welcome to the program.
Yeah. Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning to you, Mr. Parris. Thank you for taking my call.
You're welcome.
Assalamu alaikum to you all. Just listening to your dispensation of information regarding reparations. I think personally that America doesn't have enough to offer us anything that will compensate us for the dogging out of us generationally over the centuries. And I think there's only one town or city that staved off or stayed the hand of Allah because they, I think it was Nineveh. They were the rulers and the people all got together and came out in sackcloth and ash, and they repented and acknowledged the wrongs that they did. Their rulers, the leaders, those people who have the power to say yay or nay to anything that impacts the actual real-time life that people are living. So I think as the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad has written about concerning America, and those things that people call UFOs, or what we are taught that they are our eyes in the sky, and that is our backup, that America is reached the point of irrevocable wrath, of the irrevocable wrath of Allah, because America is like a person who just cannot acknowledge their shortcomings or how they have misbehaved, how they have mistreated and despised, rejected, disenfranchised, has done all manner of evil to a particular group of people just to satisfy their own egomania, or to satisfy their nature, at least for me, because I understand the nature of things for the most part, and that is the best way to make a decision with regard to human interaction as far as I am concerned. So if they were to offer us reparations, what would it be? A box of Black and Milds and some pork chops or something like that? What would it be? A liquor store and a church next door to it? What would it be?
Have you seen the Dave Chappelle skit on reparations?
No, I haven't.
Oh my God! If you could pull it up, man, it is incredible. So you had they
Cadillacs.
Cadillacs. Oh, Escalades. It was because this
Range
is back
Rover.
in the 90s. With Escalades, and it was Escalades. Donnell Rollins was driving a truck, Newports, and
a bag of weed.
Yeah, I mean, and I think.
How about this? A kilo of cocaine, so they can come back out to the community and kill us off even more. Right. That is the thinking of some of our people, and people who think that they are revolutionary. As Jesus said that he came to shod the inner man, and Moses shodded the act, as opposed to what Jesus said, that if you think of a thing, you have already committed the act, because you are your thoughts precede your actions, and your thoughts are normally dictate what you are about to do. So with that, our thinking, the transformation, first and foremost, the mind of the sky, the battle of the sky, which is our mind. And that's what these people always are talking about. They want to win over the hearts and the minds of people. And because if people control your thinking, then they can predict, or actually they can predict or determine the trajectory that you might go on in pursuit of anything. So if we can start with understanding that we have to revolt with the way that we have been taught, manufactured, indoctrinated, influenced, all of those things, the madness that we look to and take as gospel, that first has to be thrown away, and we have to be reprogrammed in a proper way, whereas it is beneficial to not only the individual, but to us as a nation within a nation. So America's going to burn for her evil, and there's nothing that any slave can do to thwart it. Nothing. Thank you so much.
All right, appreciate you. 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250. It just hit me. I thought about We talked about the Democratic Party. Woodrow Wilson was a Democrat. And as we made the argument, obviously the Democratic Party of the time of Woodrow Wilson's administration is different than the Democratic Party of today. And one of the things as was that what he did, Woodrow Wilson, went in and basically took out any protection for the Negro to work in government civil service jobs. Sounds familiar? In fact, that one of the things that Trump did, that there was an executive order that's been in place since 1965 that dealt with discrimination and employment for the federal government. He rescinded that executive order that Johnson had signed in support of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. And you kind of see, and man, when they said that history is prologue, that you should know your history to understand that certain things, and that this whole cyclical piece that happens with history and certain things that happen. I think that for many of us, we're saying, it ain't going to impact me, so I don't care. And there's a word to describe that type of behavior called indifference, right? Indifference is worse than hate, because indifference means I don't even care. I don't care. Again, if it doesn't directly impact me, then I don't really care. I was, when Michelle asked the question yesterday, and she continued it today, when she began to talk about what is the role of the Black church in the pursuit of justice, there's a me theology or meology that has developed. I think you saw it in the 90s when people came out and the name it and claim it and prosperity kind of ministry, and then using the Bible to support something that Dr. King talked about, materialism, and that our sense of blessings is materialistic, how we look at these things. And so it's really about making sure that I get mine, my come up. We've always talked about crabs in a barrel, the fact that we have. And so it's a question now. And Ron and I were talking this morning, and I said that, Michelle's question is a profound question. What should be the role going forward of the Black church, of the Black ecclesia, right? Is it about just individual morality, or does morality extend over and beyond the individual in terms of the execution or the exercise of justice? Caller, welcome to the program.
Yes, good morning. I was on the phone when you said something about determined by the birth of your mom. Could you repeat that, please?
Yeah, in most societies, birthright inheritance was directly tied to who the father was. Okay, for those of you who are biblical scholars, if you read the story, Jacob had 12 sons, right? And under Semitic law, the oldest son, regardless of who his mom was, received the biggest inheritance. Okay, and so it was the father. Under American enslavement, they changed that, right? So now, not that it really mattered if it was tied to the birthright of a father, because he was still chattel, property. But this idea of who your father was would determine. So by changing it to who the womb of the woman was, because of the position of women in society, the slave master said, I own the womb. Therefore, that child is not eligible for inheritance. It was, which is amazing, when people, the creativity we can use to do evil is again, I use the word amazing, that's what it was. I work with fathers, and part of what we do down in child support is paternity establishment. Now, part of that is that, we can determine who the legal father is, so then we can, determine the other parent and who's going to provide support for the parent. But I also point out to the men, I said, you do realize that there are inheritance rights. I know Brother David Muhammad, my boss, he gets a little frustrated with me because I always talk about inheritance, right? Why is that important? That who your daddy is, still in America, and now your mom, because now you can inherit from your mom, but who your daddy was made a real difference. And there have been violations of those rules in terms of how people get involved with who's going to get the inheritance. But wars were fought over inheritance. Who's going to, and maybe we live so much in the moment we don't think that tomorrow is going to come, and that there's a proverb that says that a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. And so what are we leaving, for our children? And a part of this is as the baby boom, as boomers, we live in this instantaneous society. We want instant gratification. We want it quickly. I don't know how many of you all get frustrated when you're going through on your computer, and if it doesn't pop in like in 1/10 of a second, you want to know why it's so slow, because we want instant gratification. That the idea of any kind of long-term struggle is anathema to a lot of us because we can do things so quickly. As a matter of fact, we live in a convenient society, that when you look at how our society, where we make money from, is convenience. If you go to an ATM, they charge you a fee. That's a convenience fee. If you pay online, let's say you're registering your car and you're doing a credit card online, you're going to see where they charge you. There's a little subcharge there. That's a convenience fee. That's how people are making their money. And so we live in that type of society now where, we look for comfort, we look for convenience, right? And so then when things happen that pushes up against the status quo, a lot of times we're just not prepared for it. I saw there was a school where Hispanic young people walked out of school in protest of the and I think there's no other way to describe it, the draconian immigration policy. I just saw this morning that they repatriated folks to India. I have yet to see a plane that's flown to Ukraine or Poland or Norway of people who are in this country illegally. And when the whole idea of setting up prisons in El Salvador, we complain about the prison conditions here in America. Go to those third world countries and see what those prisons are looking like. Michelle was saying they don't have like programs, where you can go in and do kind of restorative justice and teach you some things. So when you get on the outside, I think it's cognizant reorganization kind of thinking. It's none of that. Not to mention that probably the healthcare. So who are they going to send?
Not only that, but once these people are done serving their time, how do they get back? Are you going to just release them into the community there, or are you going to put them back?
Which is already dealing with economic challenges. The instability of El Salvador. One of my coworkers was a Salvadorian, and he talked about, man, he came from a family with money.
Wow.
But he was saying, dude, it's nuts.
Yeah, I just don't understand that, because I'm looking at that like, okay, if you do take them and they do 10, 20 years after they're done with their time, what are you planning on doing with them then?
It's funny because I tell people I'm not built for prison.
Oh, yeah.
Even some of our hardened criminals are not
built for that.
Not built for those types of prisons,
yeah.
Man. I mean,
right.
And then there's a constitutional issue. Right now, there have been several lawsuits against the Supermax prison out in Colorado for cruel and unusual treatment. These guys are literally underground, no sun, in their cells for 23 hours a day, and they have no human contact.
In Colorado?
Yeah. The leader of the Peace Stone Nation, Jeff Ford.
Yeah.
I think Hoover's there. The president of the former president of the Latin Kings is there. And they're talking about these guys literally torture themselves because human beings need the contact of other human beings.
And you need sunlight.
Sunlight.
Your body.
Mean, all those things. And the fact that it is, so they're being sued. I don't know how much sympathy they're going to get based on the current makeup of the Supreme Court if it gets that far. But there are questions there. All right. So we're talking about that also, man. So Chris Middleton for Kyle Kuzma.
Yeah, and Patrick Baldwin comes back and we trade A.J. Johnson.
Is he from here?
He's from here. Yep, he played at UWM.
Okay. 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250. Well, it wasn't Bobby Portis.
Good, because we need to keep him big, because Jesus.
No, but we got a big. Now, he can't shoot like Chris Middleton.
Who?
Kyle Kuzma.
Oh, yeah.
But I think, well, we'll pick it up after the break. 414-444-5250, 411
411.
You know the number. We'll be right back.
Are you struggling with child support issues? We are here to help. Whether you're dealing with order modifications, arrears repayment, or need help with your case, we are just a call away. Connect with Milwaukee County
AM and 106.5 FM with your host, Keith Parris.
All right, welcome back to Community Voice. And again, the phone lines are open 414-444-5250, 414-444-5250. I don't remember Keith Sweat doing Don't Stop the Love. Is that a Keith Sweat song you remember? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'll never find. Dun, 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 dun.
Girl, I've been thinking about you all day long. Don't stop your love. You remember that?
Nah.
Yeah,
but I thought about them songs when we was talking about love, and I was driving down the street, and I'm like, I forgot to tell him that song, You Give Love a Bad Name.
Okay.
I forgot about that song. So who sings that?
I don't.
You give love a bad name.
I'm just a love machine.
Oh yeah,
We did that one.
So we did that one?
Yeah.
I'm just a love.
Yeah, I like
that's
that
a Smokey
song.
Robinson song.
Is it Smokey?
Yeah, I think that's Smokey.
Oh wow.
Anyway, phone lines open. Chris Middleton to the Wizards.
Yeah, I love
for
it.
Kyle Kuzma.
I love it.
Wow.
Goodbye.
Man, we couldn't get Cam Jones. You know, I'm a big Cam Jones.
That's
fan,
who we
man.
was going after.
I love
Cam Johnson.
Jones. Cam Johnson, right?
I mean, Cam Jones is good too, though.
Do y'all think Jimmy Butler would have been a fit?
No.
No.
Well, one, him and Doc Rivers don't get along.
Well, he don't seem to get along with anybody.
Yeah.
No. I was hoping that they wouldn't even consider that.
Yeah.
But no. This is, and the upside is he's young.
Yeah.
Kyle Kuzma is
4
young.
years younger than Chris.
Yeah. Doesn't have the injury history that Chris Middleton has.
And his contract is player friendly. Or trade friendly, I should say.
Right. And that's the other thing about the NBA. A lot of people kind of miss is that you have to do, it's called equal value in the trade.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why you see other teams getting in because it'd be those contracts.
Well, you can do equal value with the trade if you are below the salary cap.
Right.
If you're over the salary cap. No, if you're over the salary cap, you got to do equal trade. If you're below, then you can, finesse.
Because they were saying that Doncic is actually losing money by going to LA.
Right now.
Because he won't be eligible for Supermax. He was eligible for the Supermax in Dallas, but he won't be eligible for that in LA. I don't know how long he has in order to do that. I don't know if it's a year.
Yeah, I think it's a year because LA now has his bird rights.
Right.
So when they come up for that contract extension, that's where he's gonna get his money at right there. Some contract extension.
Wow.
Yeah, that, and they were saying, man, that Dallas is offering the people their money back.
Give them their money back. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Well, because he's really popular. I mean, that he's popular with the fans. He's not necessarily that popular with management, obviously.
Yeah.
But he's popular with the fans.
Yeah.
Caller, welcome to the program.
Hey, how's it going?
What's happening?
Well, this Kyle Kuzma trade, there are some friends and relatives that I've been saying for about a year would be the best option as far as Chris Middleton going somewhere else. Did we have to give up anybody else along with Chris Middleton?
Yeah. It was just it was the rookie AJ Johnson, the point guard, Jalen Green's brother. No, not Ajax. AJ Johnson, the 23rd pick, the 23rd pick from last year.
Yeah, he's decent.
Jalen Green's brother, little brother.
Yeah.
Jalen Green.
Mm-hmm. Jalen Green, and they play for Houston Rockets.
Rockets, yeah.
Yeah, his little brother, which was the point guard.
Okay.
Here, they traded him for Patrick Baldwin and Chris Middleton. And Kyle Kuzma.
See, Kyle Kuzma, I think, is the one player that, of all those young players, that if the Lakers had kept and waited a year to get Anthony Davis, they wouldn't have had to make this move with Luka because their future would have still been.
But they got the other kid who hasn't been bad for them. What's his name? Hachimura?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Rudy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rudy.
And I don't think Rui would have ever set foot on the court if they still had developing players like Kyle Kuzma, Brandon Ingram, and Lonzo Ball, along with LeBron for a couple more years.
Yeah.
With Anthony Davis, you'd be talking about a dynasty. And
but they were going to lose one of those guys.
Yeah, but they lost 4 or 5 of them because they had Julius Randle as well.
Sure did.
Yep.
Yeah,
Sure
so they
did.
had drafted very well right before LeBron, and he came because he doesn't really like young players and kind of just cleaned house.
Yeah,
But I think Kyle Kuzma is what we need, and I think he'll fit in probably pretty seamlessly with Dame and Giannis because he doesn't require the ball. He plays. I think he matches up very well with both of the Celtics wings.
Yeah, and he's athletic.
If we end up in the playoffs with him, so
okay.
16.
And love songs, right out. You know this D Soul.
D, what up, baby?
How about this one? Good, brother. How about this one? Willie Hutch, Love Power.
Oh wow, I forgot about that one.
Powerful love song.
I forgot about that.
Kind of thing that makes wrong feel right.
Man, Doc, that's some type of power.
Yeah, I like that.
Didn't Willie Hutch make one, Love Vibration? Who made Love Vibration? I'm getting the love vibration. You remember that one?
I don't know that one.
Yeah, that's a cut too.
My famous Willie Hutch song is "Brothers Gonna Work It Out."
Yes, sir, Doc.
Brothers
That's
gonna
mine.
work it out.
That's mine, Doc.
Hey, that's
but the one that really got him over was
that we know about.
What you gonna do after the party?
Did he do? Who did? I Choose You.
He did.
That's Willie Hutch.
Is that Willie Hutch?
Yeah, Doc. Yes, sir.
Yeah, all of those
I
songs.
Choose You. What you gonna do after the party?
Come on, man.
Brothers
Yes,
gonna work
sir.
it out.
Yeah, that's from the back.
Yeah, that's the whole Mac
That's from
soundtrack.
the whole
man.
Mac soundtrack.
That
Talk
soundtrack
about
was
Slick.
classic. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
They're honoring Dr. Leah Knox, who does a whole lot of great community work. But man, we had her in here on one Friday, and the way she dissected the Mac, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to figure out this little piece of the trade. It said, now, however, the Bucks can aggregate salaries, and that therefore opens the door for a number of follow-up moves.
Yeah.
The likeliest courses for them now would be to attempt to aggregate the salaries of Pat Connaughton and Bobby Portis, who make around $22 million combined, to trade for another significant piece.
Yeah. So now that you're underneath the second apron, you're able to make moves now. So you can actually move Pat Connaughton contract and Bobby if you choose to, and get another big time player. But Bobby, I wouldn't move Bobby though.
Yeah.
I wouldn't move Bobby unless you're going to get some type of player like a Jalen Duren, some type of big that's able to rebound and score
and play
defense. So it's like if you do that, Jalen Duren is a perfect fit because he's young, he's athletic, he rebounds, he runs the floor. So they might do that trade to Detroit because they were talking about trading with
But
Detroit.
you know what? Detroit is on the come up right now.
Yeah, and they got money.
Stay where they are, Detroit.
They might want to. They on the come up, man. And when you look at, because man, Kate Cunningham, that dude is so smooth, man. Yeah. Just to watch him play, love to watch him play, man.
Smooth game, man. That
cat got great hair.
Yes, yeah.
He gonna be a great one.
So, what do you think about Jaden Ivey?
See, I'm not familiar with him.
Oh, I like his mama.
Boy, keep him terrible.
I like his mama. I don't miss a Notre Dame women's game. Oh my gosh.
Hey man, Jaden Ivey's a monster, man. He played for Detroit, man.
Yeah, I forgot she got a son who played, and she his father's a football player. Was a Notre Dame football player.
Yeah.
But,
okay.
Yeah, man. But his mom's
nice.
Ooh, dude,
monster,
watch Notre Dame, dude. I'm telling you, and they rolling this year.
Yeah.
Oh,
crazy.
They
Your
got
mama killer.
Your mama killer. She looked good, but that was always, Muffy McGraw. They always had that style. When you look at Notre Dame, Notre Dame. Look at the women on the bench. They are clean.
Yeah,
and that started on the Muffy. Now, South Carolina, they all business.
South Carolina's a monster. That center that they got.
She got hurt.
She got hurt.
Yeah,
she out for the season.
She's done for the season. I saw the game she dunked it. Oh my God, Watkins.
Yeah, that's her name.
Yeah. Oh man. But they were saying that when you look at South Carolina's women, the bench is better than the starting five.
Really?
What they got coming off the bench? Yeah. Yeah. But they lost that first game to UCLA. And they've been on a mission ever since. But there's some teams out there, man. UCLA is strong.
USC.
Well,
With
USC
Juju?
they lost this weekend though.
Did they?
They lost to Iowa. Yeah.
Well, Iowa. Yeah.
Well,
No,
it
that's
was
the Iowa
also
men's squad.
Caitlin
Yeah.
Clark's retirement.
Of course they're gonna lose.
LSU.
They look good.
Even though South Carolina beat LSU, LSU is nice.
Connecticut. And that
UConn is always Paige Becker.
Paige a monster.
And then the young sister they have playing there. But I'm looking at it right now. It's probably South Carolina, UCLA, Notre Dame. Notre Dame and that backcourt.
Yeah, they look good.
Miles and Hidalgo.
They look good.
Oh man, they.
She's from here, ain't she?
No, Agulawala was from here.
Okay. She's in the league now.
She's in the league now. Yeah, man. But when so I like Ivy, but like I said, I like his mama even more.
Yeah.
Oh man, they
Yeah, they used to say that about Catino Mobley's mom when he was in the league. Man, she looked like she was his sister.
Is that right? I'm gonna tell you somebody else. He ain't here no more. Jesus Shuttleworth's mama.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah. Lord have mercy. Jesus.
Oh Lord. Oh man. And you know what? LeBron's mom ain't bad looking.
Well, ask Delonte West.
Yeah, that's why he ain't in the league.
Ask Delonte West.
Got short.
I ain't gonna ask Delonte. Oh man, your worst nightmare. You play with somebody, right? You play with somebody and he kicking it with your mama. That is like your worst nightmare, man.
Do you know what practice is like? So you gonna score on your stepdaddy, huh? So you gonna score on your stepdaddy, huh? Huh? Pass the ball, son.
You come up there, hey pops.
Right.
And they
like little man.
They 5 years apart. Like, hey pops. Dude, no, that's the worst thing, man. Like my mama was dating a dude I went to middle school with. Come on, man. No, that and obviously that turned into something because Delonte West though really screams about the need. We don't think about mental health issues.
Yeah.
And he was bipolar.
Yeah.
And so things happen and then you exacerbate the bipolar. Being in the NBA is very stressful.
Yeah.
And so, you have people, that's why, they kind of get into, but yeah, he, because I think they have an altercation in the locker room.
Altercation, and then Delonte West was gone.
He was gone. And let me look, Mark Cuban really looked out for him, when he got down to Dallas, he looked out for him, but yeah, man, sometimes, you just, there's a guy I went to high school with, I'm not going to call his name, but he was just a phenomenal talent. And we didn't realize in high school he was bipolar. And so, the mental disease just really progressed. And I used to see him when I lived on the east side. And I was like, wow. So, we should really talk about it in Be Healthy, Be You, where we really need to talk about our mental health. It's something that, we don't want to act like we have problems, but we do. People dealing with issues of depression.
I ain't got no problem.
You ain't got no problems?
I ain't got no problem.
You ain't got no problems till you say something, and then Jackie looking for you.
Oh, man. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't
Well,
funny.
thanks.
All right, man. Appreciate you.
God bless.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. So, wow. Well, we'll see, man. They made two. Well, that's the thing about the NBA now. We were so used to if you were with a team, you usually go be with a team.
Yeah.
You don't trade Magic Johnson.
I really think, man, that
this
whole Dallas thing opened up a whole different dynamic to now superstars and all-stars, that nobody is safe, except Giannis.
So why do you think people are, because even my wife was asking me about the trade.
Yeah.
What?
Well, from what I was reading, I know it was a couple incidents from when after they went to the finals last year and they was celebrating, Luka was drinking a beer and Michael Finley, they got the video of it. Michael Finley walked in and casually took the beer from him. And you see Luka looking at him like, man, like, why you take it from me? Oh, well. But this was stuff that Michael Finley, has actually been on record saying that, hey, you want to keep the guys from drinking and being, to being in shape and all this other stuff. And with this new regime that came in, sometimes you can have people, man, that is in high position, man, that a power trip. And from the fan point of view, it looks like he was power tripping. Like, why would you?
Well, it's obvious they're doing refunds to season ticket holders.
That's a power trip.
Yeah, I mean, that I think he knew, but then there's also a 25-year-old.
Yeah, but yeah. Nico is young cat, right?
Doncic is like 25.
Yeah, right? But right. So why would you trade your future for somebody that?
Because after a while, you become a headache.
I get it, but do you think Anthony Davis ain't gonna be a headache?
No, Anthony Davis. Look, wherever Anthony Davis has gone, other than his injuries, Anthony Davis does everything that you ask him when he was in New Orleans. He was dependent. His issue was injuries.
Yeah.
And like he wasn't on the floor, but he was never a problem. Dude played hard, and plus, his game, he has great basketball IQ.
Yeah.
But you have to throw some. I don't know why I don't know if it's the Lakers are going to build. They said that this is the first time that LeBron James has been on a team that they're not building around him.
Well, yeah, because he's 93 years old, so he ain't gonna be there forever. So I mean, but to try to build a team around Luka, because Luka is ball dominant, so he got to have the ball. That's gonna be kind of crazy to me, man, because you have to strategically put pieces around him.
Yeah, but then because, and this is the difference between the NBA and let's say baseball is the salary cap, and what you're able to do. All right, live with mental health diagnosis, not the whole self. We could not say Michael Ling is a cancer. We say Keith lives with things. I don't know what that is. I don't know. Clarify what you're saying. I just received a text, so just clarify what you're saying in terms of, and maybe we should say a disruptive force. Maybe people saying cancer, but it I think people use that phrase to talk about people who are not always the best teammates. And what it looks like, because you can have people who, like, if you look at the Larry Bird Boston team, 5 Hall of Famers on that team, but everybody kind of knew their role. And I don't know if there was anybody on that squad who thought, you know what, I'm better than Larry Bird. Nobody thought. If you thought it, you didn't say it.
You didn't say it,
because it wasn't true. Or even, and which makes Scottie Pippen so interesting to me, because of the level of jealousy that he has towards Michael Jordan.
And I think that's because he had people in his ear, because after when Jordan left, didn't they win?
No.
When Jordan left, or they went to the finals or something.
No, they were getting eaten up. They got Orlando.
Yeah, because I know Scottie left and went to Portland.
No, Scottie left and went to Portland after they broke up the team.
Right.
But prior to that, I thought you was talking about when Jordan retired.
Yeah.
Out of retirement.
Yeah,
they were doing all right. And it was Scottie, Tony Kukoc. Everybody forgets about Tony Kukoc.
Yeah.
They weren't a bad squad.
Yeah.
Well, how do you replace Michael Jordan?
Yeah.
This whole idea, next man up, there's a reason why Michael Jordan gets paid what he gets paid. And I love him to death. And BJ Armstrong got paid what he got paid. And it gets back to that famous David Ruffin thing.
Nobody came to see you.
Nobody paid to see you, BJ Armstrong. And I know there are a lot of people out here. It's amazing how people want to be egalitarian and it's all the same, and you should treat Jordan like you treat everybody else. No, we eating because of Michael Jordan.
And and you wouldn't have had these championships if it wasn't for dude. Like that flu game is what really sold me for him. Yeah, it's what really sold me, because
he thinks it's food poisoning.
I think so too. Now that I watched
they
they sent him that pizza. Yeah, they said.
Yeah, he said, everybody, and he's the only one got sick because he's the only one that ate the pizza.
Yeah, I'm the one that ate the pizza.
Yeah, but it says something then about human will, and that differentiates Michael Jordan. That differentiates Kobe Bryant, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson. There's a will to succeed,
to win. Yeah.
That people don't. Yeah. The average person just probably doesn't have that. And maybe it was hard because it was tough for people like L.A. when Kobe was there to sign as a free agent because they didn't like playing with Kobe. But he was so, he practiced what he preached. He wasn't telling you to play hard. He didn't play hard. Yeah. That was Michael Jordan. He didn't tell you to play hard. He didn't play hard. Yeah, he played hard.
Yeah.
And when you see the stars out there playing hard, Keith, what's your issue?
Yeah. Why you ain't doing what he doing?
Who's my guy, Lindsey? Was it
Hunter?
Lindsey Hunter.
From Detroit, yeah.
When he sent him to LA and he complaining because he ain't starting.
But
really?
Wait. But Lindsey was a monster in Detroit.
In Detroit. He was supposed to be the second coming of Isaiah Thomas. That didn't quite pan out.
But that cat could score though.
He could, but he was not Isaiah Thomas.
No, he wasn't Isaiah.
He was Lindsey Hunter.
He was LH.
Yeah, he's Lindsey Hunter. And then and I understand ego is part of what drives us, man. Yeah. Ego gets me here every morning. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But I ain't better than Michelle. Well, wait a minute. Hold on, wait a minute.
Oh, I'm not in this conversation. She is not. Hold on, Michelle. I need you to hear this. I'm not in this conversation at all. She ain't finna rip me a whole nother.
Keith, let me help you out, man.
No.
Can I dig you out of this one, man?
No.
Keith, can I dig you out of this one?
Yes, sir.
So we've been promoting it, and whenever you hear Brian McKnight, that whole piece, right? So let's talk about that and the big promotion we've got going on, man. We just started yesterday. Somebody's going to win the Thanksgiving. Not Thanksgiving. Listen to me, Thanksgiving. The Valentine's. Really, Jermaine?
You said it.
I did. But Valentine's.
You'll get a turkey.
Yeah, you'll get a turkey.
You'll get a girl a turkey.
Let's give away a turkey right now.
Jive. Let's give away a jive turkey.
So, Jermaine, do you know exactly what all they win?
Do you want me to do the commercial?
No, I want you to tell me what they win.
Oh, well, you win an exclusive package,
which includes.
And you ain't finna get me in trouble, man.
Why don't we just run the promo? Can we run the promo?
You ain't finna get the promo.
Get me in trouble. We'll figure out. And we find out if a turkey's included in the promo.
Ain't no turkey in there, man. You know it ain't no turkey in there.
Okay, all right.
But I will say this. What the hell? Let's just do the contest right now.
Yeah, okay. We'll run the promo.
Hit the cue to call right behind it, and let's give something away, man.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's run the promo. Didn't y'all just say that?
Yeah. I think we might have heard that somewhere before.
Oh, okay. So let's run the promo. Oh, hold on. Lord have mercy. I'm over here tearing up stuff.
Nothing new to see here.
Some of Mother Cook's world famous dress.
Dude, stop that, man. You should have never told her name, Jermaine. I'm gonna blame it on you.
Lord have mercy, Jesus. Give me a second here. There's a bunch of things going on.
Mother Cook's world famous dressing. Well, trust me, there are people that have left this city that we have former members all over the world, and it is world famous.
Okay.
You labeled it right. Did nobody die? But oh my goodness.
Oh Lord, no! But when you get those intestinal viruses, that feels as bad as death. Yeah. We good?
Hold on, I got it.
Okay.
It was a long time before they let Mother Cook back in the kitchen.
Man. Where you going?
No. You set out, mother. You set out.
You did what you did. God bless you. God bless you. You all right?
Ella Wallace said, if you handling money, you don't handle the food.
Oh, man. What happened, man?
I highlighted some stuff. There we go.
All right. Here we go.
I done highlighted some stuff.
Here we go. No, we didn't. No, we're not ready to go. Here we go.
He ready.
Here we go.
Yeah, we're not ready to go at all.
She give me love, crazy love.
What didn't No, it wasn't Crazy in Love. Johnny Gill did Crazy.
We didn't list that one.
No, we did not. No, we did not. You okay, man?
No.
You having some problems over there, Mano?
Yeah, come on over here, bro.
Well, it's 10:20 anyway. We can do a break, right?
Hold on, not that.
But he can't do that.
Yeah, come over here, brother. Come on over here.
Come
bro.
on in the room.
Come on.
Come on in the room. Oh man. Wow. 41444. Let me got another text here. Let me see what they're saying. Oh, I haven't seen her. Ain't that something we stalking? Somebody just said Xavier Worthy. I haven't seen this. I haven't seen Xavier Worthy. Okay. All right. Let's see. The refusal of those who claim voting is so important not to fight is on. This is clear. The movie Vigilante Inc. is good if more new systems would be able to prevent such attack. Okay, this says here, and then I guess as a response to this is only voters have standing in court, those who have been injured, not congressional members. Okay. All right. Yeah, and I think that there is that I was just reading there's conversation going, and Congresswoman Gwen Moore on this thread had chimed in terms of the importance of voting, and then who would be eligible for that voting. So again, we're getting ready for the Valentine's Day giveaway, and as we work out some technical things here, we do some technical things here. We can okay, we're gonna be all right. 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 Dun, dun, dun. 240 acres and a mule. Boy, I didn't mention oh boy. I'm trying not to mention oh boy. But I guess we just can't. So I know people are relatively tone deaf. But this idea of displacing 2 million people off of their ancestral land, because you just thought it was a great idea. So yesterday during the joint press conference with Benjamin Netanyahu and Donald Trump, the issue, what was going to happen with the Palestinians in Gaza. And Donald Trump's idea was to basically have them go to, I think the countries that he talked about going to was Jordan, who already said that's not going to happen. Egypt, who definitely said that's not going to happen, right? And then what they would do is they would clear the land and then make it a like this grand resort. It is on the Mediterranean, but this seems, and a lot of people in the world are calling this would be akin to ethnic cleansing, that you're taking a particular group out. Look, Israel has been a dispute. They say it's the world's longest dispute in terms of goes back to 1948 and the claim of the land and who should have the land, and begin to talk about those people there who are called Palestinians, and then what's happening. So if you don't know, the people who were there prior to the formation of the nation of Israel in 1948, we call Palestinians. They were relegated, and I realized that the Gaza Strip goes back to 1948, where they were relegated to the Gaza Strip, this little strip of land. There was 2.5 million people in that little strip of land. And then the West Bank, there, the Jordan River that, abuts Jordan and Lebanon. And right now, because we're so focused on Gaza, we're not really focusing then on the what's happening in terms of illegal settlements in the West Bank. There's been Israeli airstrikes in the West Bank. So it's really destabilized. And if Biden couldn't do much with Netanyahu, Trump is supportive of Netanyahu. So a lot of what Israel is doing is going to be supported by the U.S. government. So, it's I think it's, again, I think I heard somebody say, be careful the weapons of mass distraction. We're looking at all these other things, and these things have to happen. So, but this is a justice issue, and at some point, we have to know what justice looks like. Saudi Arabia has come out and said that they are firm in their commitment of a two-state solution to the situation there in Israel. So if they're thinking that Saudi Arabia is going to bail them out, that's not going to happen. And part of it is when you begin to move these populations into these different countries, it can destabilize those countries, right? Because there's still elements of Hamas and others who will go to those countries, and now it becomes a headache for Jordan. It becomes a headache for Egypt in terms of dealing with folks. They talked about originally, they said that, yeah, you can allow Palestinians in, but a lot of times they don't go back. And so you have countries who are concerned about their sovereignty. I can't even pronounce it. And so it becomes one of those things. Now we're dealing with all the craziness that's going on here. They said in the State Department, 20,000 people have signed up for this, the so-called letting them separate themselves. There are questions about certain organizations within, not certain agencies within the U.S. government and the importance of those agencies. Michelle was talking about how the FAA and the drama behind the FAA and Elon Musk. And the situation there was that Elon Musk had been fined by the FAA for certain violations, and he wanted the head of the FAA to be removed. And so the guy ended up resigning prior to Trump coming into office. Look, I've been on this planet for 60 plus years, and I have never seen what we're witnessing now in the first 3 weeks of an administration. And it's frightening, but then we shouldn't be surprised, because he's only doing what he said that he was going to do, right? So those things. Now, getting rid of the Office of Education has been something that they've been talking about since Ronald Reagan. It's one of the smaller agencies there in the U.S. government. We certainly do not adequately fund education. And they were saying that most of the education funds go to the states already. So, be able to change it. Now, the question becomes, can he eliminate an agency or a department that was created by Congress? This is what you're dealing with USAID, USAID. USAID came into existence back during the 60s in the Cold War, going into areas of Africa and Asia to show so-called America's goodwill. A lot of the issues around hunger, USAID deals with. Also, something that USAID was tasked with back during the George W. Bush administration was this whole idea of giving people medication for HIV in Africa. And, we talked about HIV in America and Europe and Canada, but the outbreak of HIV in Africa was widespread. And so to be able to combat that disease by giving people life-saving medicines, all that was frozen. And then there was purposely, probably more for cosmetic reasons, that there was a separation from USAID and the State Department. But right now, Marco Rubio has been named the acting head of USAID because he believes they don't really believe in this type of foreign aid going to these countries. And it's certainly, there's a certain indifference because many of these countries that are benefiting from U.S. aid are in Africa, Somalia, the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And one of the interests, they call it the coup belt, right? So you got the Democratic Republic of the Congo, I think Mali, I can never pronounce it, Guinea-Bissau, and the instability there. And China is making inroads because China understands that a lot of the minerals that you need in terms of the 21st century is in Africa. And so their ability to be able to go in and to curry a relationship with those African countries, and then to be able then to have access to their natural resources there. Again, I told you all when we were in Panama, the Chinese government was building the airport. And I guess something with the locks there at the Panama Canal, they have the entrance and the exit in terms of being able to control that. And then get back to, we're going to put U.S. troops into Gaza. Oh man, and I think, you got this so-called strongman mentality. I don't really care what the world thinks, because I'm just that powerful. But it does begin to matter what the world thinks. In terms of tariffs, China has now decided to do their own set of tariffs, which will begin to impact our economy. Mexico and Canada was able to come to a deal, I guess if that's what you want to call it, to deal with it. How are we doing over there? Ready? Okay. What do you want to do, Debo? Let's do the giveaway. Okay. All right. You're listening to Community Voice. We're up on a break. We'll be right back. Okay. Now just keep talking then. Wow. Yeah, I'll take off. Sorry about that. Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning. Caller, welcome to the program.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm blessed. I just have a question. Oh, well, really, I went to go see that movie yesterday, Nickel Boys.
Okay.
And man, I was like blown out. I mean, the way they treated those kids of our color, I was like, wow, really?
The name of the movie again is Nickel Boys?
It's called Nickel Boys, and it's about some black youth that's in like a reform school, but they got the whites on one side, they got the blacks on the other side, and they got the blacks like they in slavery.
Was that in Florida?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
But this was my first time seeing it here in Milwaukee. I went to Mayfair yesterday.
Okay.
And it wasn't crowded. It was like 4 whites and like maybe a handful of blacks. Okay. And I was just like astonished the way that they treated. I mean, I'm not astonished about how they treat us anyway, but just like the way they was killing them young black boys. And this one dude was a fighter. He was a black fighter. And he didn't know that the second bout of the fight was over with because he won. They wanted him to lose, but he won. At the end, they had an alligator eating that young black boy because he lost the fight. Yep. I mean, because he won the fight.
Yeah, Nickel Boys is a 2024 American historical drama based on a 2019 novel, The Nickel Boys by Colson Whitehead. It's directed by Ramel Ross. The story follows 2 African-American boys, Elwood and Turner, who were sent to an abusive reform school in the 1960s in Florida. The film is inspired by the notorious Dozier School for Boys, a now closed Florida reform school notorious for its abusive treatment of students.
and how they had so many grades of them kids. I was just like, wow, I was blown away when I just was watching this movie. I know I was saying a lot of things that them white people didn't really care to hear, but I didn't care about them being there. You know, what I had to say, because I felt so bad for them kids. Being black myself, I just felt so bad. I felt so bad. And I got that book 1619. I'm practically reading it now.
Well, great. Well, thank you for that.
Yep.
Yeah, it is.
All right.
It's a great book.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Have a good day.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Sounds like it's a good. Well, the movie has been nominated. It received a Golden Globes nomination and a Best Picture nomination at the 97th Academy Awards. So seems like it's one of those films that has some acclaim. Caller, welcome to the program.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I know we have a lot of things going on with racism, but the reason why they don't want to deal with racism because they can't deal with their guilt. You got to make them soak in their guilt like herpes. You got to make them cry in their guilt like gonorrhea. You got to let that guilt eat up their inside like acid reflux and their nostrils when they're running 24/7 while they're telling everybody they got sinus infection when they got nothing but issues with cocaine. Make them eat their guilt. See, the reason why they pushing racism because they want it to be the new normal, but they don't want no backlash at it. They don't want no backlash from it. So I would ask them, don't change who you are. Stand on who you are. Because, see, your mother and your father dipped the ball with raising you because they robbed you of diversity and growth. But they will tell you, I don't want nobody to do it to my own. And some of them can't stop their kinfolks from it. So let them live in their guilt, born from their guilt, die in their guilt, even when their body is engulfed with maggots in their guilt. Even when they're on their hands and knees and they got a double-barrel shotgun in their mouth and they're about to pull the trigger, let their brains blast over the wall like blood in Picasso in their guilt. So do not go out your way to make them feel good. Make them soak, walk, talk, fart, squat, lift their leg like a dog in their guilt because they are a product of the no good female dog that has them. And if you ask them, would you like that? Would you like somebody to do it to your mother, your father, your son, your daughter? They will sit there and look at you like they stupid. Let them soak in their guilt. Have a great day.
I love gonorrhea.
He said,
like
gonorrhea. I said, Jesus.
No, but not gonorrhea, gonorrhea.
Gonorrhea.
Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning.
Hey, how you doing?
What's that?
Can I get in for the call or I gotta wait? I don't know. Hello?
Yeah, how you want to do this? I'm checking with the judges.
Okay.
Okay, hold on. You gonna do the ad now? No. He got it? Okay. Hold on. Don't let go. Even though.
Okay, so you take the call. Oh.
Yeah. So no. Okay. We got it. No, man, we haven't done. We gotta do it according to the rules. So no. Now if it comes up between now and the end of the program, you might have a shot. But appreciate you.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day.
Caller, welcome to the program. Good morning.
Good morning, brother.
What's happening,
I
brother?
want to ask a question, man.
Yes, sir.
What do I have to do to get that kind of time without getting thrown away saying all of those mean, hateful things? Do I got to throw my voice and sound like somebody that I'm not? Because I just experienced a nightmare. I mean, a maniac, man, on the phone saying these things. Had I said that, you cut me off, throw me away, and Jermaine hooked me up yesterday and started jabbing on me.
Hey, man, though, you said I'm not on your level, man. You can't discredit my playerism, man. I'm a player, man.
Okay, you want? Can I say something?
Go ahead, Doc. It's your world.
Doc, let me explain this to you. When we first of all, I said I understand where the man coming from because I'm a player, right? And you said, well, I'm a player. I said I understand that, but you're not. You know, however it got, I did say that you ain't on my. Hey, Jermaine, I gotta tell you something, man. I'm bona fide. I'm certified. I'm syndicated in that lifestyle.
All right, here we go.
Come on, man.
No, brother.
Come on, man. You don't want to count. Hey, man, you don't want to count these dollars, brother.
Brother's gonna work it out.
Dollars. Well, no, that ain't why I called. Why I called is that I heard a man saying all these things about gonorrhea. He left out AIDS. He said gonorrhea, herpes, and all that, but he was fearful to talk about AIDS. See, let me explain something to you, man. We got a bad habit of just, I don't know, man. I just want to know, what do I got to do? Because if I say anything, I said I was a player and I got ousted.
No. That ain't why
Man,
you got out. Tell the truth means
me.
you said I'm not on your level. So
When it comes
hold
down
up.
to that
So,
lifestyle, I don't think you've been where I've been.
see,
Jermaine.
you don't think.
I really don't.
But you don't know. See, but you got to speak from a place of knowing, not
Hey, man,
thinking.
why we
You got to speak from a place of knowing, brother.
This pimpish argument.
You understand me? I pull up in a Saab and some rims and a fur coat, man.
Hold on, what you say you pull up in? What you say you pull up in?
It's a side joke, man.
It's a side joke. You missed it. You missed it.
Oh, but I would like to just hear what you gonna pull up in.
Let me do this though. This is what
yeah, I want to know what a horse and carriage.
Man, I'm pulling up in the wagon.
This is
A
what
skateboard. I mean, what you gonna pull up in?
Man, I'm pulling up in the wagon.
All right, man. I appreciate you, man.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, me and you having a conversation, and the other man came in and spewed hate and talked about killing. And I said a few things, and the man eliminated my conversation. That's a cold blow, man.
Hey, Meech, can I read? Meech.
I gotta say something to you because I ain't never heard you do what you did this morning, man.
What's that?
You was complimenting another one. You and the wife must be fighting.
Why is that?
Man, because you was giving all them compliments about them ball players, mamas. Man, don't you know your wife hearing that, man? Hey, man, you sleeping on the couch tonight.
That's why we cut you off, because you all up in my marriage. That's why you got to go. You all up in my business. I ain't said nothing to you. My issue ain't with you.
Hey, go put this man on the couch.
Yeah, go sit up here talking about I got to be on the couch.
Yeah, man.
Call her up to the program. Good morning.
Hang up on him, man. Why y'all to waste air time? But Grants is a bit. Dude, the pimping days have played out. Stop, dude. Grow up, man.
Pimping ain't easy.
Grow up.
Yeah, that cat's something else,
Man.
Having a
You
pimpish
do say
conversation.
hateful things all the time.
Oh yeah.
That's why you down with Trump, because y'all just alike. Yeah. Birds of a feather, Meech. Take it easy, y'all.
Yeah.
Call her up to the program. Good morning.
It's getting heavy.
Yes, I'll be real quick. I was listening to some other radio stations across the country, and that fire they had in Altadena and Pasadena. They said that you're one of your WNLB is one of the stations raising funds for Altadena. Is that true?
That is correct, and we discussed it earlier. I think it was discussed on Michelle's program, and they're meeting today to figure out logistically how we can do it. But yes, we are.
Oh, okay. I wasn't quite sure. I haven't heard you guys talk about it in any of your everything else like that.
Yeah, they just have to figure out the rollout and how we roll it out, and then the mechanism
I had
that
to ask
people
you
can
real
give.
quick, Keith. If you had a natural disaster, say in Milwaukee, how would you handle that as far as yourself? They come in there and say, Keith, you got 5 minutes to get out of your home, and how would you handle that? How would you do? What?
That's a tough one because they tell you normally they give the warning. They say make sure all your vital papers are with you. And then you have to make a quick decision, but you want to make sure that all your vital papers are with you. What we discovered with Katrina, this is why the government really changed how you can get emergency assistance after a disaster, was people lost everything, identifications, all these things. So a lot of people, I think when they do it, they just tell you to make sure you get your essentials and then to get out of there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you and Rhonda have a to-go thing or something like that?
An evacuation plan?
Yeah, the to-go bag or...
No, I think, but we do have, that shouldn't be, my wife's going to be, when you talk about what, but yeah, we have all our vital papers in one area. So they're easily accessible, where, you'll be able to get out. And, the other thing is the difference between 2005 when Katrina happened and now is that a lot of that stuff is digitized, right?
Okay.
So a lot of your vital records, credit cards, all that would be on your phone. So you would still have some level of access to it. But I don't know what that would be like when they say, man, you got 10 minutes to get out of there. I mean, it's, and a lot of people don't want to leave the property, and the fear becomes, and this was the real issue there. And I know people were hearing it from the sheriff, was looters, where people will go in and let's say the fire hasn't gotten there. There's people going up the mountain who are going into these homes looting. Every time you see a natural disaster, you always hear that the National Guard is called out. The National Guard is called out, obviously, for public safety, rescue, but they're also out there to guard property because there were people going to take advantage of that situation, whenever they can. So, and I don't think we've had anything here close to where we've had to evacuate other than when we lost power. A few years ago, we had a real bad windstorm here, and we had lost power for some people. It was 3 days. I know for us, it took us about 2 days to get back online. But again, where could we evacuate to? You'd have to evacuate someplace that had not lost power. But yeah, we were fortunate because it was in August. And though it was warm, because to lose power in December when it's cold is a totally different animal.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
All right.
And was that one last thing, or is that the way people are going to be moving forward as far as making their decisions where they're going to live? They mentioned your state and your city being as not disaster prone like some of the parts of the West, like Phoenix and parts of Florida and everything with hurricanes and California, as you see with those wildfires. Mm-hmm. Is there something people are going to take into consideration where to live, you think? Or
yeah, and I think human beings have always made the poor decisions to live in areas. It's like when you live around water. Well, one of the things is depending on the body of water that you live around, there's flooding, right? If you're on a coastal area like on the Pacific or the Atlantic, there is, or the Gulf of Mexico, there are hurricanes. Weather is everywhere. I think our big thing here a lot of times will be snow, right? I mean, it is like we can get a real bad snowfall. But we did have flooding here in 2008 because we had a once in a 100-year rainfall. And I mean, it was just like, I don't know, it was 3-4 inches of rain in less than 10 hours. The ground can't absorb it. We had flooding in places. Now, we have some areas here that are flood prone. Everybody talks about Pigsville down in the Miller Valley, which was flood prone. Then we discovered over, is that either Lincoln Creek, over on the north side where there was flood prone. But that, I never forget that day. It was so dark at 5 p.m. in June, it looked like night. And it just would not stop raining. And what happened was we had a front that just settled over Milwaukee, primarily West Allis, Wauwatosa. We live near Wauwatosa. So we got all this rain. Now, we've had water in our basement, but I've never had water in the rec room. And I had 2 inches of water in the rec room. That's how much rain we got, So everybody lives with weather. I heard somebody say down in Florida, they was talking about a hurricane, and one of the guys has been there for years. He said, that's the price of living in paradise, so.
Okay.
All right. Appreciate you, man. I got to go.
Take care.
Debo, thank you. Treadmill, thank you.
Man, it's been a
let me thank everybody for being part of the program. Hey, the good Lord willing, creek don't rise. Hope to talk to everybody. As always, go from this place in peace.